Hey, and welcome into the Big Ten Huddle. I'm your host, JR. I've got a lot to talk about going on in the Big Ten as we are the Big Ten Huddle presented to you by FanDuel, part of the Believe podcasting network. Thank you so much for choosing to spend your Sunday night live here with us, or if you're on podcast, your Monday morning, afternoon, whenever it is you decide to hit that play button. We have an awesome episode here for you as long as you're not a Penn State fan. If you're a Penn State fan, I don't think you're going to enjoy this episode. You can be here, obviously. We appreciate you being here, but I don't think you're going to have a great time. Zach's been in the thick of it. He lives in Pennsylvania. He knows what these Penn State fans are going through, and we'll see if Zach can shed any optimism or anything. Nope, that's not Zach's forte. We'll bring Zach in here. Zach, are you feeling optimistic at all?
I cannot believe you would accuse me of not being optimistic. How dare you accuse me? Okay, you're right. I'm very pessimistic.
Yeah. You're the one that was flirting with starting the Fire Coaches podcast.
To be fair, that was a little tongue in cheek. But Penn State fans may want me to start
if
that
you had time for it, would you have started it?
No, gosh. Well, that's the phrase. Do I have time for it? No.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah. So, all right. Well, we got a lot of fun to get to, but before we do that, let's go ahead and get into the chat, see what y'all are up to. Brett is here. Brett, thank you for being here. He says, my issue with both the AP poll and the coaches poll is that they gave more votes to Cincinnati over Nebraska. Sure, Cincy's win is better than any other Nebraska has, but I felt Iowa State was way overrated. I tweeted this out. They received over twice as many votes. We'll get into the AP poll in the second segment on the Monday podcast or on the Tuesday podcast. But boy, I get it if it's like a little bit more, but double as many votes. Cincinnati just barely outside of the top 25. It's honestly kind of ridiculous. Don't you think, Zach?
Oh, it's obscene. I mean, just the fact that you would put a team that Nebraska beat, it's just ridiculous.
And on a neutral field, too. It's not like Nebraska beat them at home. Like, I can see the conversation there a little bit. Like, oh, they beat them at home. Mm-hmm. But, yeah, it's kind of crazy. Yeah. So, Max says, Ohio State's strength of schedule this year looking a little suspect right now. Ohio State. Texas not looking very good after losing to Florida. I kind of went through that a little bit on the performance tiers and the power rankings episode a little bit, so we'll know where I stand. But when we get to the top 25, Zach has a take, and Zach and I will debate it a little bit, and we'll let you guys decide who's right and wrong. Have anything on this, Zach, before we move on?
Well, I mean, this might be foreshadowing. This plays into why I may have shifted my rankings a little bit.
There you go. Foreshadowing indeed. AJ says, I don't feel Indiana will be ranked if it had Notre Dame schedule or rank. It's difficult to see how they are a top 20 team. What good win does Notre Dame have? Power 4 conferences AD should simply boycott playing. Yeah, I mean, if you have Notre Dame's record with their schedule, yes. I mean, if you had won the games on Notre Dame's schedule, you'd be the number one team in the nation, right? Texas A&M and Miami, who are both top. What is Texas A&M ranked right now? Close to top 5, if not top 5?
4th or 5th.
Yeah, so they're top 5, if not close to top 5. But yeah, I mean, if you win that game and the Miami game, you'd be the number one team in the nation, no doubt.
Yep. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of people thought, and me included, thought that Notre Dame was going to beat both those teams. And so I get the whole idea of boycotting Notre Dame. It's not going to happen. Like, Notre Dame is too valuable. Which, I mean, we've been saying that we've been projecting Notre Dame to the Big Ten for a while, and I think we're just realizing the way things are set up right now, it's very advantageous to be Notre Dame. Mm-hmm. And like, other teams aren't going to touch it until it doesn't become valuable to them anymore.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree. All right, a lot of people in the chat. We appreciate you guys being here. Thank you so much. Can't go through every single person in the chat because we do need to get to the episode. Robe does appreciate you being here. We got Billy here, evening gentlemen, evening Billy. Appreciate you being here. Philip is here as per usual. Philip, always appreciate you being here. Steely Matt coming in, sharing the show. We'll get into the AP poll in the second segment of the episode. If you're listening on podcast, you'll get that Tuesday morning. We'll go through that kind of stuff. But for now, we have some games that happened on Saturday that we need to get to, and we would not be a Big Ten podcast if we did not talk about the most surprising, for maybe some people are acting like they called it. I didn't see a single person call this, but the most surprising game of the weekend, UCLA getting it done at home over Penn State, 42-37. Zach, I talked about it on the performance tiers. I talked about it on the power rankings. To me, there were three things that happened in this game: bad coaching, uninspired play, and injured linebackers. Those were the three things to me. One of those is a little bit of an excuse, and I get that. The other two, that's just not ready. Players that did not respond. And it honestly sucks for Penn State, sucks for their fans. But at the end of the day, if you're a UCLA fan, you're feeling great about this. You're feeling great about Nico, what he did. It sucks that it happened at this point in the season. You would like to maybe have won a game before this, but overall, it does give UCLA fans some joy this season, even though they look like they are probably not going to be bowl eligible, but we'll see what happens. New coaching staff and everything else. We'll see if they can get them there. What was your thoughts on the game, Zach?
Yeah, I mean, first, we'll talk at length about Penn State, I'm sure. Can we talk about how awesome this is for Nico Iamaleava and Tim Skipper and Jerry Neuheisel? Because all the leadership stuff that we're going to throw on to Penn State, we should be giving in spades and giving flowers to those guys. Because what have we been saying about Nico since he transferred to UCLA? Oh, it's selfish. It's a money grab. You can't trust him. Well, guess what? He has been allowed to leave the team as there has been fire going on everywhere. And he hasn't. And in fact, what he's done is he's galvanized his team and got maybe the biggest upset of the year. And it might end up being the biggest upset of the year as we look at the college football season as a whole when we get to the end of the season.
Zach, a loss has not happened like this since 1985. Been 40 years since a team that is winless defeated a top 10 team. I think that was the way it was put out there. Like, not has a game like this happened since 1985. This is insane that UCLA was able to get this win.
Right, and it's not like they've lost to good teams, right? They lost at Northwestern, which no offense to Northwestern, but they have not been great, although they had a good win this past week for them. But they lost to New Mexico. They lost to UNLV. So, like, two of their losses are to group of 5 teams. So, I mean, to your point, nothing like this has happened since 1985. And we'd have to go and do research. But I would almost bet that 0-4 team didn't have the losses like UCLA did. So, like, this was a dead-in-the-water team with every coach was different. And Jerry Neuheisel called the game of his life. Tim Skipper got these guys to believe. And I just think we need to, as much as we need to talk about how much of a failure this was for Penn State, we have to talk about how great this is and validating this is, I think, especially for Nico.
I agree with Billy. He should get the extension that Philip is asking about here. Philip asked if Jerry Neuheisel should get a 3-year contract extension for the win. No, just for the hair. He's got the Prince Charming hair from Shrek right now. I love it. Jerry Neuheisel, obviously quarterback, so much history with his career and everything else, and for him to come out and be the play caller in this situation. I tweeted it out there. Our guy Jeff has noticed it with James Franklin, the big laminated sheet he has. I kid you not, Jerry Neuheisel's sheet was maybe a 1/6, an 1/8 of the size of James Franklin's sheet that he had, and it's just kind of insane. But yeah, I mean, I am not trying to take away credit to Jerry Neuheisel at all here. All right, we need to give him, we need to give Tim Skipper all this credit. We need to give UCLA's defense credit as well.
Yeah.
But you don't win this game without Nico Iamaleava. You don't win this game without his athleticism, without his drive, without his fight. I mean, 3rd and 15, he gets the scramble for the first down. 60-yard scramble, he goes down the field. Like, every time it felt like UCLA's offense was out of it, Nico Iamaleava goes out, gets a big scramble, and is able to keep the chains moving. It happened time and time again. It wasn't just that. He threw the ball well in this game as well. Rico Flores, Mikey Matthews had a catch in this game. Quasi Gilmer, he looked like the guy that UCLA fans were hoping he would be. I gave this UCLA wide receiver room some crap going into the season, and so far they had earned it, but in this game, they didn't earn it at all. This wide receiver room looked better. Nico Iamaleava looked accurate, and that offensive line for UCLA, it wasn't like the best performance in the world, but they were getting pushed on that Penn State defensive line, and that's a huge accomplishment for them.
Yeah. Well, and you look at the stats and you kind of think, oh, like the stats were great. But I think to your point, the situational football, the clutch moments, the big runs on 3rd and long. I mean, he played out of his mind. 16 carries, 128 yards, 3 touchdowns. 17 of 24, 166 yards passing, 2 touchdowns. He accounted for 5 touchdowns in this game. Just incredible. And he led them after Penn State seized momentum multiple times in this game, right? Penn State had the block punt. UCLA went right back and made it a 2-touchdown lead. Like they just never yielded when you would have expected a team like UCLA to fold against a top 10 team. So I just think you've got to give a lot. I mean, we are, but I think everybody else, everybody's going to look at Penn State, which we're about to do. Nico deserves so much praise for his performance yesterday. And like, that's where my optimism is I think this is as much a story about Penn State's failure as much as it is a story about Nico's success and proving doubters wrong yesterday.
Yeah, I agree. All right, we need to talk Penn State. Is there anything else UCLA you want to get off your chest before we talk about Penn State?
We need to have Kevin back on at some point. We need to get Bruin Source back on because this is big enough for them to come back on.
I just had him on. I just had him on around the Big Ten, and he was like, I'm here. I appreciate you having me on. Not a great season for UCLA. Little did he know the type of Saturday that he was going to have. So great stuff there. All right. Okay, Penn State. Zach, do you agree with my assessment that Penn State did not play inspired football, that the coaching... I mean, Zach, again, we need to give UCLA credit, but they only punted once in this game. They only punted once. They had one field goal attempt that was missed at the beginning of the at the beginning of the second half off of the fumble, right? They follow that up with a 6-play, 8-yard drive for a punt, and you're thinking, oh, okay, Penn State has some momentum here. Maybe Penn State can make it happen. Nope. UCLA gets the ball, goes 7 plays, 75 yards, then goes 12 plays, 75 yards, the drive after that. I am baffled that this Penn State defense was not able to hold UCLA in check at all. More than anything, I'm baffled that Jim Knowles thinks Denai Dennis Sutton is the best spy for Nico Iamaleava, or just no spy. Just run man blitz in this game and just leave Nico Iamaleava to just go run around however much he wants. This was one of the worst coaching performances I've ever seen. This was by Jim Knowles, who people were saying, I said it, the best defensive coordinator in the Big Ten. He didn't look like it. He looked like one of the worst in this game. Now, obviously not in his career, but if you go off this game alone, he was the worst defensive coordinator in the nation based off this game alone.
Well, I agree with your assessment. It is, and honestly, it points back to what we talked about a week ago when we were kind of dissecting the Oregon-Penn State game. I felt like Andy Kotelnicki was unwilling to adjust his offense for Drew Aller. I felt like in situations that was true again. I felt like with Jim Knowles, he failed to adjust. And I think we saw that at Ohio State too. It's just that you had such elite players.
Oh, yeah. I talked about on the performance series. Like, he would put defensive linemen as spies at Ohio State. as well. But those defensive linemen, and I'm not trying to take anything away from Deni Dennis Sutton. Deni Dennis Sutton is a really, really good pass rusher. He's too big to be a spy, though. He's like 280, 270, something like that. You cannot have him spying Nico Iamaleava. He takes one step, and Deni Dennis Sutton falls down. I shouldn't say fall down. That's disrespectful. But he's just not able to keep up with Nico.
Yeah. Well, and then to wait until the fourth quarter to assign a spy, right? Or like to not have it all game long. Like, he was killing him.
John says here, radio said a Nittany Lion linebacker was assigned to spy Iamaleava. They might say that. It wasn't there. I can tell you, I watched that game 3 times. Because I was trying to figure out what was going on here. I watched that game twice today on like the speed up or whatever. They didn't have anybody spying Nico until like the third or fourth quarter. It was the end of the third quarter when they finally started putting somebody on Nico to spy him. So either one of two things happened. Either they put a spy on him and the spy just had no idea what he was doing and he started blitzing instead of spying him, or just Jim Knowles wasn't putting a spy on him at all. So it could be that the spy just did a terrible job and didn't make it happen with unexperienced linebackers. Sure, that could be. I'm not saying you're wrong, John. I'm just saying like that's what I saw. I did not see a consistent spy on Nico.
Well, and to your point about that, though, there was no rush discipline by the defensive line either.
Yeah.
So they would crash, and he found a hole, and he escaped for big yardage. And they did not adjust. They did not coach these guys up. And then what I think was shocking was James Franklin postgame talking about this. It was like, what have you not changed? And I think you could kind of see signs of that after their loss to Oregon, which is why, like, I did not call this, but I called a sluggish game. Like, I was like, they're not going to do well. Like, it's going to be like a ho-hum performance, and I think people are going to be upset. Well, it was certainly worse than ho-hum. And but people are not just mildly upset.
Yeah, not mildly at all. I mean, you called a kind of ho-hum performance by the offense, right? Like, this was not a ho-hum offensive performance. I mean, Nicholas Singleton, yes, he's been awful this season. I don't know what in the world is going on with him. He stinks this year. I just plain and simple.
I don't know.
He doesn't stink for his career. Katron Allen should be the lead back in this game, and they're still giving Nicholas Singleton more carries than him. It's ridiculous to me. Drew Aller, I actually felt like he played a good game in this one. He was out there. He was trying to make plays. He was risking his body. He was trying to throw the ball downfield. You could see he was trying to make things happen. But in this one, like, I don't blame Drew Aller a whole lot. This was a game where the offense didn't perform last game. Drew Aller tried to get the offense to perform this game, and the defense just left him dry.
Yeah, the defense. The one thing I'll say, that the 4th and 2 with the zone read, it's like, come on, Kotelnicki. Like, it's not his game. That's not the play on 4th and 2. Like, not for this team. But I don't disagree with you. But it's the same issue I had with Kotelnicki. But it was a failure on the defense. Like, that's where it's a failure on the defense. It was a failure on situational football. It's a failure of leadership. And I don't know what you do, because as our man Jeff says,
it's just a failure.
Like, I don't know what you do because it's a $56 million buyout. So, like, I just don't know what you do, because I think fans in State College are sick of it. Like, I think they've been sick of it since last year, and you can't fire him, but you start to wonder, is this when they start having the back, the deals in the back where you start to find a way to part ways at the end of the season?
It's just insane. It's insane. All right. We do need to ask this question, though, Zach. Okay. Is this Penn State's Michigan game? Is this Penn State's game where they lose? They were They were 20-point favorites. Ohio State was 20-point favorites against Michigan. The spread wasn't all that far off, right? The offense completely missed, or the defense completely missed in this game for Penn State. The offense was the one that completely missed for Ohio State in that Michigan game. I'm not saying that I believe it, but I do think it does need a talking point here. Is this possibly just the Michigan game that Ohio State last year had, but just earlier on in the season?
No. Who's the first round pick like that's developed currently at UCLA?
Nico.
Well, but he's not like he wouldn't be a first round pick this year.
No, but next year he could be if he shows out a little. He has first round pick traits. I guess that's what I should say.
Right. Yeah, he has traits.
Yeah.
They like
but
Michigan
he's not played
had,
like it this year. To your point, he's not played like it this year.
Yeah. Michigan had dudes on that team, and I know some of them were out, but like Mason Graham, Kenneth Grant, like
you're right.
Yeah, like it. I mean, people were saying that, and I'm like, this is not the same. Like Michigan was an underperforming team that happened to upset their rival. This was the worst team in Power 4. It's miles different.
Michigan was a team that had first round picks on that team. They just didn't have a quarterback all season. They didn't have wide receivers either, right? They had their offensive line was a little suspect in pass block, not a little. They were suspect in pass blocking, but they were overall a good run blocking offensive line. This is not what we've seen from UCLA this year. We've seen a UCLA team that has come alive in the second half a little bit this year and done a good job of trying to get back into games, but overall it's not worked out for them. Penn State has dropped on FanDuel for the Big Ten championship odds. They are now plus 6,050. That is good for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. They are 8th in the Big Ten. They have dropped from 3rd in the Big Ten odds to win the Big Ten to 8th at plus. Oh, I apologize. It's plus 8,000 now. It continues to go down. Plus 8,000. They were plus 6,500, tied with Washington. Now they are one spot down below Illinois at plus 8,000. That never happened to Ohio State.
No.
So this would be a miracle if Penn State came back and won the national championship.
Yeah.
So, oh boy. All right. Anything else, Zach?
I mean, I think just to close, and I hate to do this to Penn State, I think the problem is, like, if you look at Ohio State a year ago, you knew the pieces were there. I don't know where the pieces are right now for Penn State. Like,
not playing well.
Yeah.
I mean, Penn State does have some pieces, right? Like, Dennis Sutton is going to be a draft pick. Drew Aller has the traits to be a high draft pick. Like, Nicholas Singleton has some of the speed and athleticism to be a high draft pick as well, but
we haven't seen it all year.
Right. It just hasn't happened this season. Like, that's all stuff that you've seen last year or the year before.
Yeah.
Dennis Sutton, we've seen this season. He got held a lot in that Oregon game.
Yeah, maybe what I mean by like, who is the elite guy, and elite that can get you out of trouble? And I don't see that this year.
On offense, you don't have one.
Yeah, on offense, you don't have one. And on defense, like, they've had guys that have flashed. And, like, Dennis Sutton is really good. But, like, you don't have a Jeremiah Smith. You don't have a Caleb Downs. You don't have the guys that you thought could be that. They have not developed to that yet, which is it's another miss on coaching.
PSU Jim wanted it here. He says, I can't remember a loss this bad by Penn State. I've watched every game since 1988. And that's what I've heard. I went through the forums a little bit. I went through some of the podcasts a little bit and tried to figure out, like, what is the pulse on this Penn State, fan base right now? And it's that I don't think they've ever been lower. I mean, obviously the team, it's not like they're going to go like 5-7. Oh, maybe, I don't know. It's not, they should not go 5-7 or anything this season, but when you have the expectations you had, when you just saw two teams in the Big Ten basically just do what you tried to do, and you come out and by week 7, you're not even ranked after receiving multiple first place votes to be ranked in the preseason, that's tough. That's tough. I do not envy Penn State fans at all.
Yep. No, it has not been a good weekend for Penn State.
Yeah.
For Penn State fans.
And
I feel for you.
It's not been a good weekend for the rest of the Big Ten too. I mean, Oregon was relying on Penn State looking like a good win. Ohio State was relying on Penn State being a good opponent for him later on. Indiana was relying on Penn State being a good opponent for him. I mean, like, yes, this sucks for Penn State, and I've seen some Big Ten fans being like, ha, 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 told you so. It's like, okay, just remember this when the SEC is saying, oh, yeah, that Penn State win means nothing.
Yep.
Sucks for you. So,
it's
the same thing with Ohio State with Texas right now.
Yeah. So. It's not great. It's not great.
Well,
although I'll just say the one thing that could redeem this, if UCLA goes on a run and shows it was coaching and not and they actually have the ability, you might see some things, but I don't think that's going to happen. But
we completely forgot our takeaways. So we'll do our takeaways really fast and then we'll move on. My takeaway for UCLA was that UCLA showed their talent is real and that this UCLA job is better than people give it credit for because they are able to get talent. Yes, the administration might be screwed up right now, but this is still a team that can get talent. And honestly, you hit it at the right time, you might find yourself with a consistently ranked team. You can be able to get talent out of California. You can make this work at UCLA if you have the right administration behind you.
Yep. Yeah, I agree. I had Nico. Nico deserves his flowers. That was my main. Yeah.
Yeah. And then my one for Penn State is the quote from Remember the Titans. Attitude reflects leadership. And the leadership of this team, of this program right now is completely broken. Jim Knowles, James Franklin, the players. Did you see that video of Drew Aller breaking the huddle?
I did not.
Right before the game started, Drew Aller was in a huddle with the starters on offense. And you didn't really hear what he said, but you kind of heard some passion out of him. And the rest of the starters, team. Not good attitude.
Yeah. I just put ditto.
Yeah.
And that,
that's really all you can say right now. Like, it just.
Yeah.
All right, moving on. Michigan State at Nebraska. Nebraska looked like the best team in the nation coming into it. Got up 14-0. Saw a little bit of a lull in the second, third quarter, into the fourth. And then boom, Nebraska happens again. They start pulling away in the fourth quarter there. This was a very strange game for Nebraska. Now, we do need to preface this, very windy in this game. When I do my quarterback grades tomorrow, that is going to be a big factor for my Dylan Raiola grade because you are going to look and you're going to see Dylan Raiola did not throw downfield at all. Really hard to throw downfield when it was as windy as it was in that game. But wind does not always impact sacks and stuff like that as well, which a couple of those were definitely in the offensive line. Bad snap and other stuff, but Dylan Raiola continues to hold on to the ball a little bit too much for my liking, but overall he was still able to make enough plays in this one to get the win over Michigan State, and he does deserve credit for that in a windy environment. Nebraska, good start, middle, great finish as well. Zach, your thoughts on the game?
Yeah, I mean, my takeaway from this is I think when they play their A game, they're going to be tough, man. And we saw that in the first and fourth quarters. They played their A game. They looked like a completely different level of team than Michigan State, which is kind of what you would hope they'd be, right? Because that's what they've been building towards. And no offense to Michigan State, but Michigan State is not supposed to be on the same level as Nebraska right now. And so when they first and fourth quarter, they completely outclassed them. But quarters 2 and 3, that inconsistency that you get with the Cornhuskers, that's why we're fearful. It's like Matt Rule, figure out the consistency that. We're going to talk about Ohio State later. That's why we're excited about Ohio State, because they're consistent and they're consistently building. They're always in control.
One of us are.
Stop it. Stop it. Just stop it. I'm not going to do this right now. Nebraska is very inconsistent. And I think that that's my concern for this team moving forward.
Oh man. All right. Yeah, I mean, you look at this game, Nebraska, they come out hot, they get the touchdown to start the game, excellent stuff there, and then you had punt, turnover on downs, punt, turnover on downs, interception, and it's like holy cow! And then you get about about 3/4 of the way through the third quarter, and then you get touchdown, field goal, punt, touchdown to end the game for Nebraska. So they started off the game well, like I said, and then that entire middle part there, they just weren't able to move the ball. They were going for it on downs, and they weren't able to get it. For me, as much as this was kind of the middle part, not a great performance for Nebraska, and I know Nebraska fans weren't feeling great about it, you saw really good special teams from Nebraska in this game. You had the return for a touchdown. You had the block punt. You had this was a game for Nebraska where last year the special teams was awful. It was so bad. And I don't know if they're going to be consistently good like this on special teams, but this was a game when you needed special teams to be good. The ball was not going to be thrown very well, and Nebraska's not been a very good running team this year. Credit to Emmett Johnson. He still got 3 rushing touchdowns in this game. But it was going to be a really tough game for Nebraska to get this win with the wind and everything else going on. And Nebraska's special teams stepped up. And their defense stepped up in this game as well. Aiden Childs threw 2 interceptions. They were opportunistic. Mm-hmm. They did a good job. So, to me, I actually feel really good about Nebraska coming out in this game. I moved them up 3 spots in my power rankings because Dylan Raiola played his worst game of his career, but the special teams gave you their best game in the Matt Rule era. And to me, that's why Nebraska got the win, the special teams and the defense.
Yeah, and I think there are encouraging things for sure about this game. But they can't be that inconsistent again, particularly the offense and Dylan Raiola.
No, but don't you think the wind had something to do with that? I mean, you're forced to run the ball. We see this with Ohio State, right, in the C.J. Stroud era, when they're not able to pass the ball and they have to rely on the run game and they're not super into the run game. Like, this happens to good teams every now and then.
Yes, but it's a trend. And that's the thing that you have to be careful of, is that if there's a trend line, I still want to see Matt Rule clean it up.
Yeah, sure. I mean, I'm not saying this is something you can have all the time. I do think this is not a trend for Dylan Raiola, this type of game that he had. The sacks, yes, but
I was gonna say the sacks.
Yeah,
not
the sacks
the
are a
turnovers,
trend,
but the sacks.
But he was still making some good plays out there, being able to roll out and to step up in the pocket, stepping up in the pocket much better in this game than he has in some other ones this season.
Yeah, no, there's improvement. I just, like I said, A game. Like, I think they can hang with everybody else on their schedule. Are they going to play their A game consistently, game in and game out? That's my question. So
we'll see.
At Maryland next week.
It's going to be a great game.
That is going to be. I won't be on the episode for picks. I might have to send you my picks though. So, because I know Illini fans are already anticipating, hoping that I pick against them, because of my Illini curse. But
well, you picked them to win when they played USC, so
it's true.
And you picked against them when they lost to Indiana, so you actually been on point with them this season. So they might not want you to pick against them.
I did preseason. I picked Illinois to beat Ohio State, so
yeah,
that might change.
Well, we'll see. All right, my takeaway for Nebraska was the special teams. Did you already said yours?
Yes. Yep.
Okay. Takeaway from Michigan State. I hate to say this, and it seems weird coming off the game that Aiden Childs had throwing the ball, but I think people who watched it understand because of the wind and stuff like that. But the 2 interceptions, I don't think we're ever going to see what Aiden Childs truly is and how special he is unless Jonathan Smith can get all the pieces around Aiden Childs. Like, we have the receivers right now. That's great. He needs a running game. He needs an offensive line. He needs a defense. Like, they've got a good defensive line. It's not like Michigan level or anything like that, but they've got a good defensive line. They've got some good linebackers, but they just do not have the secondary. And right now, the offense is just not good enough for Aiden Childs to be able to showcase his full abilities.
Yeah. I'm similar. I think they were lucky to be in this game with Nebraska. They're still fairly behind.
Yeah.
And like, they're not, I thought this would have been a closer game. and the score looks close. But again, like I said, when both teams are playing, on even footing, Nebraska was far superior.
It was a close game there for the third to about 3/4 of the third quarter, right? 21-21.
Again, close on the scoreboard.
Yeah.
But like you can tell, like Emmett Johnson, actually, I'll just say, like, I think the blocking was one, but I thought Emmett Johnson at times looked like the fastest guy in the field.
Yeah. Emmett Johnson was a huge piece to helping Nebraska get the win in this one.
Yeah.
It was much needed. So. All right, well, let's move on to Washington, Maryland. Before we get into them too much, do you want to say, please do like, subscribe, help us out with all that good stuff. There is now a hype feature on YouTube. If you would like to hype up the show, we would appreciate you doing that. I have no idea how you get to it. It just pops up for me every now and then when I'm watching stuff on YouTube. So if it pops up, maybe we have to earn it. I have no idea. Hype, hype, hype. Maybe if I say the word, it happens. If that pops up, please do hype up the show. It would help us out very much. And tell a friend as well. Let them know about the Big Ten Huddle, what we're doing over here, and we would appreciate that. All right, Zach, Washington, Maryland. Washington with an epic comeback in pretty much just the fourth quarter, a little bit in the third quarter as well. But Washington down 20-0, comes back, wins this game 24-20. I felt like my pick was great for pretty much the entire game. Sidney Stewart gets thrown out for targeting in this game. Questionable targeting, but heck, it was called. It is what it is. And then Maryland, once that penalty happened against, I believe it was Trader in the end zone, that gave Washington life. Washington was able to score, and they really never looked back. 3 and outs after that for Maryland and Washington's offense. You give them a step, and they're going to take it. Your thoughts on the game, Zach?
Yeah, I mean, I think I know there are certain people in the chat that are expecting me to go into Fire Loxley mode. And I'm not going to do that because I actually thought this was a very good game between two top 25 teams that are not ranked in the AP poll because AP
Washington's getting votes, but not ranked.
Yeah. Both teams should be ranked. Like both teams would beat Virginia.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and they're ranked.
Both teams would beat Florida State, yes.
Yeah. So I think the thing that I took away from it is that Washington's like you can't, unless if you're Ohio State defensively, or maybe Miami defensively, you're not going to keep Damon Williams, Jonah Coleman, Denzel Boston, and their offense down like an entire game. Like you're just not going to. And like you can say what you want. Like I thought you can say that Maryland choked this game away. It was at home, yada, yada, yada. Washington's trio is awesome. Like they're just so good. And the is it Prysock? The other is he the receiver? Or no, Roebuck, the receiver.
Oh,
had a touchdown in this game.
He was the tight end, yeah.
Yeah, Decker DeGraff had some key moments in this game offensively. And then the defense really showed up at the end. And remember, this is a team that traveled to the East Coast. They had injuries. Who does that sound like? Kind of sounds like Penn State, except one guy didn't give excuses for the travel. And he actually had a good coaching job in this, which I've given Jed Fish a lot of crud over last year. This is a great coaching job by him. He let his horses run. And I think this is it's a very good win for what I think is still an underrated Washington squad.
Yeah, I agree. Illini Bubba with a great comment here, just to pause everything for a second. He says, I remember back when the show was just 3 people and a few dogs watching. I remember when I was begging for people to start a YouTube account for their dogs so they could subscribe. Those were the days. And he says, now look at us. The chat is going. We appreciate everybody being here. We're part of Believe. We have a FanDuel partnership. You guys have made all this happen. We appreciate you, and we will never stop exposing SEC bias and giving you great Big Ten content. So appreciate you guys. Yeah, I think that to me is the biggest thing is that Washington, their road woes are cured, right? That's my biggest takeaway from this one. Now, maybe it's not always cured for forever, but this is not a game where you had to hear about travel and this and that. Like, we hear this after every single game when teams, not every single game. There's a few coaches that don't complain about it, and I appreciate them. But man, like it's just been so rough for Washington not being able to win road games. They get the win over Washington, and then you gave Washington State, you gave Washington an inch in this one. The penalty that set them up to be able to score. I know it was kind of a stupid penalty. Like, I get it, the unsportsmanlike conduct, but it happened, and Washington took that inch. They scored. They were able to stop Maryland's offense. I feel bad for Maryland fans. I guess I do think Maryland might have won this game at the end if the receiver could catch. I think it was Farouk. My prediction looked really good there for a second, 27-24, but wasn't able to make it happen. And it's a really tough one for Maryland. I listened to Larry and those guys over at IMS Radio talking about this game and just how important it was. Win a game in October, give the fans some life. The Ravens aren't doing well, and they were talking about how like this could kind of get some more fans to buy back into Maryland football. And then you just had that fall apart there at the end. So I think Malik Washington is really, really good, though. I kind of talked about his accuracy a little bit last episode and how it wasn't super impressive. He was much more impressive in this one. Do you think he needs to tone down the arm strength a little bit? Him and Bryce Underwood kind of do the same thing, throwing fastballs, and when maybe you could use a little bit more touch on the ball. Yeah. But overall, that drop that they had at the end of the drive, I believe was the turnover on downs. Mm-hmm. Man, you would have probably won the game if he had caught that, and that's rough.
Yeah, it's hard because. And again,
we've been graced with the presence of one Dave Portnoy here.
Dave Portnoy, heck. Wow!
How about that? Bo Glue, he says.
Oh, we can't say those words. Not here. I have a fun story about that actually in a minute, but if we have time for anecdotes, the takeaway from Maryland for me is Maryland's going to be better. Like this felt losses in the past. You were like, this was a missed opportunity, and this was a missed opportunity. But like, think about it. This was a freshman thrown into the fire, did almost everything right. And like, to your point, he's going to learn from this. Like, and the loss is not on him, by the way, but like, he's going to learn and he's going to get better. Sidney Stewart and Mathis, they're going to get better. This feels different than it has in the past because of the youth. And like, I don't think this is going to be the debilitating loss like that it's been the past several years where it just kind of goes into tailspin. I think this is a young team that still needs to figure things out. But I think Maryland fans actually should be really encouraged. Like, I've got Nebraska on upset watch next week. Because I think Maryland can get them. And I think Nebraska is the better team. But again, Nebraska has to travel to Maryland. And there are still questions about that offensive line where Maryland is going to have an advantage on that defensive front. So this doesn't feel like losses in the past. I still think Maryland's a very dangerous team. And I think they're going to be better. I think they're going to upset somebody. Maybe even this week.
Oh yeah, I got Maryland still going 7-5 even with this loss because they're going to get an upset. They're going to get there. I don't know if I go 8-4 yet, but yeah, 7-5. I think is likely. So official Husky highlights. Appreciate you being here. He says, "Do you think Washington could get to 9 wins?" I had them at 8 wins in my midseason prediction, but that was thinking that they lose this game because I had picked Maryland to win. So yes, yeah, with this win, I would probably readjust my expectations to 8 to 9 wins, somewhere in that range. And they should be ranked. Mm-hmm. They should absolutely be ranked. Stupid that they're not. Yeah, we'll talk more about that in the second segment. All right. Anything else on Washington, Maryland, Zach?
Nope.
All right. Shall we get to the Buckeyes? the Buckeyes. All right, Ohio State wins at home over Minnesota 42-3. Some people were talking there, Zach. 3-0. Minnesota goes down, scores on the very first drive. Ohio State misses the field goal the next one, and people are saying, "Oh no, is this another UCLA, Penn State? Are the Golden Gophers going to catch the Buckeyes sleeping?" No. Drake Lindsey is very good. Don't get me wrong. He did well in this game for the opportunity that he had. He had a very good opening first drive, but Zach, about 40% of the Minnesota's total yards in this game were on that very first drive. The rest of the game, Minnesota could do nothing on offense. This Ohio State defense locked down, and I feel like you and I were both right a little bit in this game. Obviously, you were more right, but I feel like you and I were both right because they did open it up. They did throw the ball downfield more, but they also played less plays in this game than they did against Washington. So I was right that they were not going to increase the play amount a whole bunch, but you were also right that they opened the offense up more in this game, threw the ball downfield. Julian Sain showed off that arm, and it looked spectacular. Your thoughts on the Ohio State-Minnesota game?
I just want to say I'm frustrated that Carnell Tate slipped and that Lincoln Kienholz didn't go through the A gap because I could have hit they should have hit 50 in this game. They should have hit 50 in this game.
Yeah.
But they didn't.
Yeah, you're not wrong. Quick highlight really fast. The OHIO podcast. I was on their podcast earlier. They came in thanking me for coming on. Appreciate you guys. Always love to have the opportunity. If you guys are Buckeye fans and you want more good Buckeye content, the OHIO podcast does a great job over there. Very fun. Good time over there with those guys. Anyway, sorry. Go ahead, Zach.
Yeah. They're awesome. I love those guys. Sorry, I lost my train of thought. The thing, and I tweeted this out, Ohio State just never feels out of control. All season, there were times even last year where they felt out of control. But this season, and granted, they have not, the best offense they've played is Washington, which is a good offense, but they just, they might get hit one or two times, and then they just kind of recalibrate, and they just don't let you do anything. I cannot rave enough about what Matt Patricia has done with this defense and how they've developed some of these guys on defense. But then I think Julian saying, dude, Carnell Tate is a menace. And Dane Brugler has him as wide receiver 3 for next year's draft. I'm like, dude, you got to update that board. He's 1, which is insane. I think he's the second best receiver in the country.
Yeah.
And I think he would start as wide receiver 1 for everybody else.
It's hard because he's not wide receiver 1, right? I assume he's probably got Mekhi Lemon ahead of him. Maybe I'm trying to think of who else they would have ahead of him there, but that's the hard part. You put John Nestor, I believe, on Jeremiah Smith in this one. John Nestor has had a secretly really good season for Minnesota this year. So sneaky good season from him. But this felt like a game where, what was his name? The redshirt freshman cornerback, Gerald, I think it was. That was not fair to put him on Carnell Tate, and I think that they knew that matchup was there from the beginning. They just exploited it. Tony brings up a really good comment here, Zach. It's weird to me to think this year's Buckeyes could actually be a better team than last year. They might be, Zach.
Well, did you hear Ryan Day post game?
Yeah, because he's got a championship mentality. Yeah. Yeah.
Well, this is why. I dropped that hint a couple weeks ago. He feels Saban-esque right now. And I'm not saying he is gonna do what Nick Saban did, but dude, he called out players by name of little details that they screwed up. And he did it in a way that was, I think, really encouraging. He's like, I love those guys, but Bo Jackson can't reach on second down. And I forget who the other guy he called out, but he's doing it to say, hey, that will lose us games in the future. And I'm like, oh my gosh, this guy's a maniac. Well, and you see that attention to detail with this team.
what I see right now is Ryan Day. Like, the Ohio State fans are crazy. And right now, Ryan Day has the same amount of craziness. Like, it was really infuriating for a long time for Ohio State fans because Ryan Day would be like, "Oh yeah, we got the win." Like, he didn't really necessarily point out that stuff a whole bunch, but now he is. I don't know if it's Saban-esque. I'm not going to compare Ryan Day to Saban or anything, just because that's a huge comparison for much later in his career. However, he does have a better win percentage than Newt Rockne right now. That came up in the post game. So Ryan Day gave everybody a little bit of a mini heart attack when he started saying he was going to retire after that question. It was like, I don't know, take the question back, but he was joking. So just really amazing performance. Matt Patricia, I'm not trying to disparage Jim Knowles here or anything like that. I don't think it's any secret. Matt Patricia is a better defensive coordinator. We'll see what it looks like when he faces Oregon and some of these better teams, but I don't think it's a secret. Matt Patricia is one of, if not the best defensive coordinators in all of the nation.
Yeah. I'm very curious. I think Illinois will end up being maybe the most explosive and varied offense that they'll face the rest of the season.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm curious to see how he defends them. Because like they've got weapons all over the field, but they have an offensive line deficiency too. So I'm like, how's that going to work out? But very curious how that looks.
All right, let's get to our takeaways for Ohio State. We won't debate them too much because we'll debate them in the AP poll segment. But Zach, anybody that ranks Miami at number 1 in the nation over this Ohio State Buckeyes team is insane. That's my takeaway.
Yeah, whatever. They're currently the most talented team in the country, but their resume took a hit.
Okay, moving on. Minnesota, my takeaway for them is I actually don't think they played all that poorly in this game. Like, I think Minnesota blocked Ohio State kind of okay for parts of this game. I think Drake Lindsey was in control. He just didn't have anybody open downfield. And it's not like these Minnesota receivers are bad. It's just that nobody gets open against this Ohio State team because they're that good. So really good secondary. Offensive line held up for the most part. I mean, only allowed 1 sack in this game, but just complete inability to run the ball with Ohio State's front. They were not able to get yards on 1st and 2nd down. They were set up for 3rd down, an average of 9 yards to go the entire game, an average of 9 yards to go on 3rd down the entire game. It's pretty insane. I think they just ran into a freight train in Ohio State, and that's why I didn't choose to move Minnesota down or anything in my power rankings. I just kept them the same. I was like, yeah, this might happen to some other teams this season. It just is what it is.
I literally, in my takeaway thing on our spreadsheet, this is literally what I have. What were they supposed to do?
Yeah. And PJ took Darius Taylor out of the game early. Like, he only gave him limited snaps. I thought that was a good call by PJ as well. Like, some people might be mad at PJ and be like, you're giving up. But it's like, dude, we just got PJ back. Like, we just got Darius back. We can't lose him. So,
yeah. I think someone posted this. I forget who it was. So I'm not going to take credit for this, but someone made the point. Like, I don't know if, I think it was Jeffrey the Greek. He was like, I don't know if Minnesota could have played better. Like,
he did tweet that. Yeah, you're right.
He's like, they played well. And I was like, I actually agree with that, which is kind of scary because like, I thought Drake Lindsey looked really good at times. And I'm like, this guy's a legit quarterback, like an NFL, like he has NFL traits. Again, I think receivers are good. I think running backs are good. The lines are not great. Particularly the offensive line.
It's a more pass blocking offensive line for Minnesota. And I think, Drake Lindsey adds to that, but that's also one of the reasons why you see this Minnesota team going more to the pass at points this season, because this offensive line, and I didn't see it in the offseason. I should have saw it in the offseason, but these guys are athletic. These guys are able to pass block. They're just not able to run the ball down your throat like some other Minnesota teams have been able to do. So, all right, before we move on, Brett says, you guys should get a Patreon. I would support your Patreon. I am in Paraguay and can't use the super chat feature here. It's locked to the U.S. I did not realize that. Huh. We'll think about getting a Patreon. I was not aware that kind of locked people out of there. We don't really do all that much with paid content and everything, but it just, if nothing else, to support. Yeah, we'll think about it. Appreciate that suggestion there, Brett. We appreciate you. All right, Zach, let's move on to or before we do that, Week 7 preview Tuesday night. Me and Mike Broadbent from On3 Rutgers, the Knights Report. Love Mike. Mike does a great job over there. Really going to dig into some of these previews. Going to have one question for every Big Ten team. Going to have a lot of fun with that, see if they can answer those, and we'll see how Week 7 goes. We'll give our predictions and everything else, and if Zach is able to get his predictions in, we'll give Zach's predictions as well. Actually, Zach, you'll need to do predictions because we got to keep this score against each other. I'm trying to catch you and beat you.
What is the current score right now?
I think it's 62-50. I think you're ahead by 12 right now. I don't know what it is after this week, but
yeah.
So
I just wanted to hear you say it for our listeners.
Oh, it motivates me. I say it every time after the podcast. 62-50. I say it every time. Motivates me. All right, Zach, you don't really spend a whole lot of time on Northwestern here, but Northwestern wins 42-7 against UL Monroe. My takeaway is that Preston Stone, he came into form in this game, looked much better, was able to run the ball, was able to pass the ball, actually gave him an A- in my QB grades. I loved it. I loved what I saw from Northwestern in this one. So good job, Northwestern. You did what you're supposed to do. I'm not going to move you out of the bottom of the Big Ten power rankings for being a group of 5 team, but nice job.
Yeah. Hey, yeah, we didn't expect them to blow them out like this. So, I think that proves something, right? I mean, it's at least maybe some progress. We kind of expected, I kind of have expected Northwestern to kind of struggle, and they didn't. So, good on them. That's a good win.
Nice. All right, next one. Illinois at Purdue. Illinois wins this one 43-27. Luke Altmaier, awesome day for him. Nearly 400 yards passing, 1 touchdown. Hank Beatty, Purdue had no idea how to cover him. They were running into each other, and he broke away for tons of big plays in this one. Khalil Valentine, career high in rushing yards, 95 rushing yards, I believe, is what he had. So good day overall for the Illinois offense. The defense, a little suspect in this one. Purdue was able to kind of move the ball and make some stuff happen, but overall, that defense is going to need to get better, but against Ohio State. However, offensive line looks better. Luke Altmaier doing a good job. This Illinois offense is looking really potent, really good right now, Zach.
Yeah, my takeaway in this is Illinois is going to have to keep outscoring opponents to reach the goals they have, because it's the offense is good enough, right? Now, the offensive line we have questions about, but everybody else, they're a potent offense. And we saw it against USC, saw it against Purdue. They were fantastic in this game. And Luke Altmaier, I hope Luke Altmaier gets more respect as the NFL draft continues to evaluate people, because running and throwing, he has been fantastic this season.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he's been a game changer for him.
Yeah.
Cameron says, appreciate you being here, Cameron. He says, a little suspect is being nice to Illinois. Giving up close to 500 yards is definitely something. Yeah, I say a little suspect because Purdue actually has had a pretty good offense this year, right? They've actually put up a good amount of yards on teams. They've just kind of struggled with the turnovers, which is what they struggled with in this one as well against Illinois. So I don't know if it was the game plan to let them kind of move the ball downfield but get turnovers. I would think that's not a great game plan, but Brett Bielema is smarter than me, so who knows? But so yeah, maybe I'm being a little nice here to say a little suspect, because you definitely don't want to give up that many yards to Purdue. But like I said, this is a better Purdue offense than it was last year. The wide receivers are much improved. The offensive line, while it be not great, it's better, and Ryan Brown is a much better quarterback than what they had last year in Hudson Card. So I hear you, Cameron. It's difficult, right? Because Purdue does have a pretty good offense this season.
Yep.
So my takeaway for Illinois, Luke Altmaier is playing like a top 10 QB in my mind in the nation right now. And I think going into this game against Ohio State, you're going to see 2 top 10 quarterbacks in college football right now. Now, you won't see that on top 10 lists and stuff. You're going to see, Sawyer Robertson and these other guys on there. It's give me a break. Luke Altmaier passes, a good number of those guys, but the secondary was underwhelming in this one, and you can't win with just good quarterback play against Ohio State. You're going to have to play really good defense. You're going to have to be able to stop Julian Sane. You're going to have to be able to stop the run game. Luke Altmaier is great, but this isn't going to be like Michigan last year. You can't have Luke Altmaier just be the game changer, will to win type of guy. You have to play excellent football against Ohio State, and Luke Altmaier is playing excellent football, which is great right now. But the rest of the team needs to get on board.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Agreed.
What's your takeaway, Zach?
For Purdue, I will say, I think the turnover issues are a real thing. I just think we have to be impressed, though, by what Barry Odom has done in the first half of the first season. He's I think 82 new players. That's insane. The way he's turned this program into
and how disciplined they are too, right?
Yeah,
there's a pretty disciplined, not the best, but pretty disciplined football team.
But they legit are a nuisance. They are legit a nuisance in this league right now. And I think that's saying something, because they were not always, they were a nuisance to Illinois last year, but not really to anybody else in the Big Ten. And so I just think you have to give some flowers to Barry Odom with what was the biggest rebuilding job in the Power Four.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I totally agree. I think if they clean up their turnovers, I think this is the type of team that could honestly give Michigan a run for their money in that game. Now, it's at Michigan, so probably not, as much with it being at. But if this was a game at Purdue and they clean up the turnover stuff, I'm not going to pick them to beat Michigan. But kind of like I was saying with Wisconsin, there could be some possibility there, right? You could find yourself in a game at the end of the third quarter. So, again, I'm not trying to pick against Michigan here. I'm just saying, that's the type of team that you could possibly see something happen against. But Michigan's going to get turnovers in that game if Purdue doesn't fix anything. They do play at Minnesota next. I mean,
yeah,
you could see a high-scoring game in that one, kind of like the Rutgers
yeah,
Minnesota game. But we'll see. It's going to be interesting. All right. Let's see our last one, right? Oh, before we do that, Around the Big Ten. Check out Around the Big Ten. We are starting a new series every Thursday morning. I'm going to record with some different Big Ten fans, guys covering the Big Ten. We had the Darker Knight, Rajiv, and Kevin from Bruin Source on this last time. Really, really fun time getting their perspective. Not a whole lot of talking from me. Mostly by them, I ask questions, kind of react, do some of that stuff. And it's just overall a really, really good time. So check us out, Around the Big Ten. This week we're going to have Ryan Winters on and Kurt from Sky U Pod. I got to finalize it with one more guy, but we're going to have a good time. Thursday morning, check out Around the Big Ten. All right, Zach, our last one. Here we have Wisconsin at Michigan. Wisconsin loses. Michigan wins 24-10. It was a game at halftime. Mm-hmm. This is a game Wisconsin was able to go down the field on that first drive and score. And Michigan, they struggled to throw the ball in the first half. They were able to get some good run out of it, and the passing game was able to come alive in the second half. Bryce Underwood finishes with 270 yards passing, 1 touchdown. Justice Haynes has rushed for over 100 yards every single game this season. He looks like a superstar. He's kind of Blake Corum-esque with some of his stats. I'm not saying he is. And then Donovan McCulley had a really good game. 6 receptions, 112 yards, 1 touchdown. Samaj Morgan had a number, at least 2 drops, I think maybe 1 or 2 drops in this game. Andrew Marsh had a really nice catch along the sidelines. You had some really good optimism here for the Michigan passing attack, especially in the second half. But Andrew Marsh was the one that was able to kind of get it started in the second quarter. What are your thoughts on this one, Zach?
Yeah, I think I have a lot of negative thoughts for Wisconsin. But
welcome to 2025.
Yeah. But I and this is my takeaway for Michigan is that I feel like they're on schedule. A little concerned, it's a little concerning when you're like, I kind of think Biff Poggi is better at the helm than Sharon Moore, because it seems like there's maybe a little bit more inconsistency when he's at the helm, but they are progressing. And I think I think there is progress. I think you're seeing the receivers do a little bit more. I think Underwood is making progress. The run game is still very good. But I feel like I'm echoing you when you have questions about Sharon Moore's ability as a head man. So
Yeah, I mean, I would say right now it's more of kind of the passing attack and Bryce Underwood being able to distribute the ball, with some more touch and stuff like that. That's probably more my question mark, but it's a question mark that I expect to be answered by the end of the season. I don't know if Sharon Moore is going to be answered by the end of the season. He's going to still take some, kind of growth and ability to be able to get through things, but thankfully he's got a really talented team that he's going to be able to, kind of have the freedom to be able to grow and a pretty easy schedule. I mean, it works out well for him this year.
Yep.
And that goes into, James Wilson says, calling it here, Michigan makes the playoffs. I got him in my college football playoff prediction, Zach.
I do too.
I got him as the 11 seed right now. So if they beat USC this weekend, or is that this weekend or next?
Yeah, it's this weekend.
Yeah. If they beat USC this weekend, that's a sneaky big game in the Big Ten. 2 playoff contenders. Honestly, whichever one wins is probably going to be the one that's most likely to make the playoffs. So we'll see how it goes.
USC has a really, really important 2-game stretch with
do.
Michigan and Notre Dame.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. All right, Zach. Takeaways. The downfield passing attack showed improvement versus a bad secondary, as they should. Was a little worried about it in the first half, but second half. But the second half was better. We'll get to the super chat really fast, and then we'll let Zach
He did it.
Brenton Fender said, "Sig is your new overlord, courtesy of Brett Beavers."
Brett Beavers sent him a Venmo from I'm trying to remember where Brett's from again. Where did he say?
What do you say? Paraguay.
Paraguay. That's our first international super chat. Man, thanks, Brett. Thanks, Brenton.
Look at Brenton making it happen. I saw some talk of Venmo in the chat. I wasn't exactly following what was going on. So that's hilarious.
Brett from Paraguay, man. Thank you so much, man. That's awesome.
Yeah, that's awesome. Thank you for doing that. You're awesome, Brenton. Appreciate you having you here. On an Indiana bye week, we got Brenton sending in super chats. Brenton's the man. All right. You already gave your Michigan takeaway?
Yep.
Okay. Wisconsin. I hate to inform Wisconsin fans, but with this running attack, it doesn't matter who's a QB. Wisconsin's not good.
Nope.
I mean, if you cannot run the ball. Hunter Simmons was good at the beginning, but man, I don't know. I don't know. Even if Billy Edwards comes back, is this really a different team?
No. No. Well,
some experience, maybe. The offensive line still sucks.
Well, here's so I'm gonna quote, "Remember the Titans" back to you.
Oh, good.
Attitude reflects leadership. Why on earth is Luke Fickell not using any of his timeouts at the end of the game? And I get there's probably no way they come back.
I mean, because he knows it's over.
Right. But what does that tell your team? That you're not fighting to the end? This is my takeaway. Luke Fickell quit at the end of the game. And that's the attitude of this team. And I did not go on the fire James Franklin train. I did not go on the fire Loxley train. I am going on the fire Luke Fickell train because this is absurd.
I mean, they won't fire him though. I just talked to Rajiv the other day. They're not going to fire him. Dave is here with super chat, $5. Appreciate you being here, Dave. He says, "Well, as a Minnesota fan, I get to say we scored first. We scored first. We scored first. LOL." Yes, you did. And you got some tweets. Tom Fornelli put out a tweet, and at the end of the game, he promptly quoted it and was like, "Guys, okay, I didn't need to follow up this tweet." But yeah, good for the Gophers, Dave. Appreciate you being here.
I understand that there's a buyout, but they got to do something. They've got to get rid of him somehow.
Yeah, I don't know what you do though. GoFundMe.
I mean, again, I think you probably have to have a negotiation, but I can't imagine anybody in Madison right now likes the product of the Wisconsin football team.
Max has found the common denominator. Zach just hates coaches whose last names start with F. Franklin, Ferentz, Fickell.
Wait, it says Zach hates coaches whose last name.
Except for Franklin.
Yeah, except for Frank. Okay, I missed it.
Yeah.
Well, oh yeah, I was gonna say Fickles doesn't start with an F. Of course, it starts with an F. Good grief, Zach.
It's late. We still got to get to the AP poll.
Retirement party, yes, Philip. Retirement.
There you go.
Tell him to take early retirement. He's made enough money.
Yeah, he'll be fine.
Early retirement.
Yeah. Doreen's here. Hey, Doreen. Appreciate you being here. Doreen's up late. Floxley. That's hilarious. All right. Oh boy. Well, Zach, we better get to moving on. Otherwise, we're gonna be here till midnight talking about the AP poll, and I don't know if I had that on my schedule. So.
No, we can't do that. It'll be a quick AP poll reaction.
All right, everybody. So if you're listening on podcast, this is where we're gonna end the show. If you're here with us on YouTube, don't go anywhere. Do not go. Dan Fanning. Do not go anywhere. We are going to be right back. We're going to pause for just a quick second. We'll intro into the next podcast. So on YouTube, stay here with us. If you're on podcast, join us Tuesday morning for the AP reaction. No, Philip, we're not going 5 hours. We'll be right back. Hey, welcome into the Big Ten Huddle, where we are presented and brought to you by FanDuel, part of the Believe podcasting network. That is B-L-E-A-V, Believe, not Believe. It's kind of hard to say it there, but we appreciate you being here listening to us react to the AP poll. And I gotta say, Zach and I are gonna have a disagreement this episode, and we're gonna need the chat to weigh in on this one on YouTube. If you're on podcast, make sure if you're on Spotify, you comment and let us know what your thoughts are. If you're on podcast, you can even email me and let me know what your thoughts are, and I will let Zach know what those thoughts are, who wins, who loses, the debate. It's going to be a fun one, and I know Zach's ready for it. He's got scads of notes ready to try and take me down. Right, Zach?
Define scad.
Lots.
I think you might be mistaken, but okay, sure.
Okay. All right. Well, we'll just get right into it. We've got a lot of people in the chat here already because we're going from the last episode, but we will make it happen. All right, Zach. I hate when it does that. There we go. So here's the AP poll, Zach. We got Ohio State at number 1.
That's last week's, because Penn State's still in it.
Yeah, not good.
And Texas is still in it.
All right, let me pull it up really fast. Yeah. I apologize.
Sorry.
Take this out. No, it's my fault. So I'll pull
it up
really fast.
Doreen, thank you for being a member for 5 months. That's awesome.
Yes. That's fantastic.
And with that, you're celebrating no Penn State or Texas in the AP poll. Our Penn State fans are sad about this, but of course Ohio State fans are probably more excited about this. Or maybe sad. I don't know. Maybe disappointed.
I mean, like we talked about, I don't think it's a great thing for Ohio State.
No, it's not. It is not.
It's not exactly what you want to happen. So
no. We wanted a top 5 matchup in the shoe. It is not going to be a top 5 matchup in the shoe.
Well, while I bring this up, Zach, why don't you talk through how Miami jumped Oregon? Miami's in second. Ohio State stays at first. Your thoughts?
Yeah, well, when Oregon's best win is a double overtime win against a team that just lost to UCLA, and then everybody else you play is trash. No offense to Oklahoma State, no offense to Oregon State. Like it's just really hard from a resume standpoint to really keep Oregon up above Miami. I mean, and you look at Miami, what they've done the first month and a half of the season. Like they just beat Florida State, who beat Alabama. You can say what you want about Florida State. They did beat Alabama, and that's a good win. They beat Florida, who again is not a great team, but like they just beat Texas, which by the way does Ohio State no favors either. They just have a much better resume at this point. So like,
do they though?
Do we want to go to Sagarin? Not that Sagarin's the end all be all, but like,
I mean, you can go to Sagarin if you want, but it's not. I don't think it's a much better resume. It might be slightly better, but it's not much better.
Dude, Oregon State and Oklahoma State were in like UCLA territory.
Yes, but Penn State still was a top 5 team when they beat them.
Wait, when they beat them?
Yes.
You've got to take into consideration who they actually are. They were not tested by anybody.
Okay, are you taking into consideration to who Notre Dame actually is? Are you taking into consideration who Florida State actually is?
Yes.
Are you taking into consideration who
Yes.
South Florida actually is?
Okay.
All those teams are still ranked here, but they shouldn't be ranked.
Okay.
Notre Dame is not ranked off their resume at all. If we want to go based off resume is why you're ranked. Notre Dame should not be ranked based off of resume. You beat Boise State and Arkansas. Congratulations. You're 2-2.
Okay, but has Penn State beat a Power 4 team?
No. But they also took Oregon to double overtime.
But I don't think that I don't feel like that. And I said it after this game. I thought it was more of a referendum on Penn State not being as good as we thought than it was Oregon being great. And I feel like that bore out against UCLA.
Okay, but why is Florida State not getting the same treatment?
Because they beat Alabama.
They lost to Virginia.
But they still had
That Alabama team looked about as uninspired as Penn State looked against UCLA. Not as much, but about.
But is UVA as bad as UCLA?
Yes, not as bad as UCLA, but they're bad. UVA is not a good football team. I don't know if you've watched them play. They are not a good football team.
They're still 4-1.
Look at who their wins are.
But they have wins over Power 4 teams. Like we if we're going to say that we like rightfully want to expose SEC bias, then we have to be real when our own bias for the Big Ten influences. And I want to be careful how I say that, because I'm not trying to say, like, I think there are real statistics that could weight into Oregon's favor. I'm just saying that in terms of resume, the things that we would slam the SEC for are now true of Big Ten teams.
I don't think so exactly.
Okay, so
maybe the Oregon argument is wrong. I will concede to Miami being Oregon over Oregon. Fine. That's fine. But you can't tell me you've watched Miami play this season and they looked better than Ohio State. Lines of scrimmage, I'll give that to you. I don't think they're that much better. They might be slightly better than Ohio State, but I don't think they're that much better.
But couldn't that be the difference in a game between Miami and Ohio State?
Not as minuscule as it is, though. Ohio State clearly has the better wide receivers. They clearly have the better quarterback. They clearly have the better secondary. Clearly have the better linebackers, in my opinion.
But we're talking about the AP poll right now, right?
Yes.
Which Ohio State.
So
is
I
one,
think it's right
Miami's
to have
two.
Ohio State number 1 and Miami number 2.
I don't think it's. This is my personal opinion, which we're going to find out as you see my poll, which you've hinted at. I think you could go either way with Ohio State and Miami. And again, I think particularly with resume, Ohio State's resume took a huge hit this past week. Like Texas lost by 8. It was worse than that. Like Texas is not a good football team right now. Like Arch should be benched.
Yeah. Blue Wolverine gifted 20 Big Ten Huddle memberships. Appreciate you doing that. Blue Wolverine definitely helps us out so much, and we appreciate it. And we are not going to put Michigan in our college football playoff predictions just because you did that. They earned it themselves, and we appreciate you doing that, regardless if we put them in there, because you didn't even know if we put them in there or not. So appreciate that, Blue Wolverine. You're awesome, and I see you doing this for a ton of different shows. Just overall, I really appreciate your generosity and you supporting guys like us. It means a lot to us.
Thanks, Blue Wolverine. We really appreciate it.
For sure. So Billy says no Buckeye should accept gifts from Wolverines. That's funny, Billy. All right. So I will concede that you can go either way with it. Okay. I will say if somebody
That's all I wanted to hear. That's all I wanted to hear. I'm not insane. Okay.
If somebody puts Miami over Ohio State, I'm not gonna like say that's the worst case in the world. But I am gonna say if there are people like some of the Twitter accounts out there that are saying Miami clearly has the better resume than Ohio State, like that's ridiculous. If you want to say that Miami is clearly better, if you want to say Miami has the better resume, okay. Sure, but you cannot tell me you have watched Miami and Ohio State play. I'll Venmo. That's hilarious. But you can't tell me you've watched Ohio State and Miami play and say Miami looks like the better team. You just can't.
Yeah, no, I have Miami 1 in my poll this week.
We'll get to it.
But I completely agree with you. Aaron Murray, who's a former Georgia quarterback.
It's not just him. There's plenty of people, but
he's the one I saw. Well, yeah, and I think I saw a couple others too. But like he was like, Miami's clearly the best team in the country. And I think from resume and what you've seen on the field, you can make a good case that they're the number 1 team. It is not clear. And I said this to you. I texted this to you. Next week, it'll probably be like, depending on who wins Oregon, Indiana, they'll be ahead of Miami for me. And if Ohio State beats Illinois, which I think they will, Ohio State will be 1, Oregon will be 2, or Indiana will be 2, and Miami will be 3.
Yeah.
Like it's for me, like it's resume at this point. And that's honestly, the only thing that Miami has to stand on. Because I don't know how you look at both teams and say unequivocally that Miami is just better. Like I think you can get there because of the lines of scrimmage, but yeah, it has to be a Miami ranking, or it has to be a resume ranking if you're going to put Miami 1.
Yeah. Dave gives $10 super chat. We appreciate it, Dave. Look at Brenton. He really got the super chats going with the Venmo from Brett there. Appreciate it, guys. Dave says it looks like the G5 spot is going to be an American conference school outside of UNLV. I don't see anyone else from another G5 school conference getting that spot. There's one other one, and I did put them in my prediction this time, mainly because I like to switch it up. I don't know if any of these are actually going to make it. But yeah, it looks like Memphis, USF are kind of your two main ones right now. Tulane is still there a little bit. However, their loss to Ole Miss has kind of pushed them out of it a little bit. So I do think that makes it a little bit more difficult. But Old Dominion, don't sleep on Old Dominion. I know a lot of people get annoyed because of Indiana fans, talking about Old Dominion's a good win and stuff. And who knows? It might be a better win than Texas at this point. Please help us if it is. Kennesaw State, it has a better strength of record than Penn State right now, according to ESPN FPI. So if you go, Indiana has a more quality win beating Kennesaw State. I guess probably not because Oregon was on the road, but still, like those are two teams that are back to back. It's pretty insane. Yeah, I would say probably your big 3 right now is Memphis, USF, Old Dominion, Toledo. I forget if they won or lost this weekend. They would probably be up there as well if they win, but yeah, those are probably your big ones. We'll see. It's going to be really interesting, the G5 race.
Can we make a good agreement here? Sorry, I was like trying to find the word agreement. There is a clear top 3, and then I think a pretty sizable tier after those 3.
Yes, yeah. Right now, the national championship. Well, no, I would say top 4. I would say there's 4.
Who's your 4th?
Indiana.
I'm curious. Yeah, I could go. I think
they have to prove it this weekend against Oregon.
Yeah,
but you pull out a top 25 team, 63-10, even if there are injuries.
Yeah,
I think you look pretty national championship contender if that happens.
I do. I'm curious about how they'll scale against Oregon because I have similar concerns with Indiana playing Oregon that I did with them playing Iowa. Except Iowa has no playmakers on the outside. Oregon does. So I don't know.
You gotta remember, Pons didn't play in that game too. So
that's fair. That's a good point.
He's a big part of that secondary. Obviously, he's really good.
I think Indiana will fare well. I don't know if they'll win, but I think but you would say the other the top 3: Ohio State, Miami, Oregon. Like,
I would say Ohio State, Miami, Oregon right now. I would say Indiana has the opportunity to prove it this weekend that they're in that top 4. And I don't think if Oregon loses, they're outside of that top 4. I still think Oregon, this team looks talented. Talented enough. You could argue the Penn State win wasn't all that good, sure, but
yeah,
they look like a talented enough team to be able to do that.
yeah,
And I mean, Alabama, even though they lost to Florida State, they have the talent. I don't think they have the defense to do it, but they have the talent on offense. If that defense can, hold teams well enough, they could win it too. So I'd probably say top 3, a couple there that are kind of maybe, and then Texas Tech is probably in that same boat as well as maybe prove it. And then I would say everybody else after that.
Yeah, I think Bama's turning it on, and so I have the same defensive concerns about them. So,
All right, what do you think of these other Big Ten teams' rankings? Penn State was the other one in the top 10 that was helping the Big Ten rankings out. They are obviously out. I was wrong. I thought Texas would remain ranked. I thought Texas would stay in the rankings after losing to Florida. And, that Florida win gets counted as a good win by people from Miami. So I thought, maybe. But it did not end up being that way. Texas and Penn State were right back-to-backs, received almost the same amount of votes to be in, but they did not receive enough to be in the AP poll.
Yeah, I mean, I think it almost kind of feels like it's almost like punishment. It's almost like the AP voters being like, "How dare you make us think that you were good?" And I'm like, guys, that was your fault. You guys ranked them 1 and 2. Granted, we were high on Penn State and Texas also, but like this guys,
but we were willing to adjust, right? I mean,
yeah,
you moved Penn State to 14th after they lost to Oregon. I moved Texas down to 16th at one point. We were willing to adjust. The voters were not. I mean, I don't think they ever left the top 10 for those two.
No.
So,
yeah.
But you don't have a Power 4 win. You have to drop.
Yeah.
It just is what it is. So, all right. So LSU is at number 11. I know people honestly, you try to make a top 25, it's really difficult.
Yeah.
Because I'm
painful.
with all of you that it's like, how is LSU at 11? I'm saying that same thing. And then I'm like, holy crap, I have LSU at 14th. Like, how does this happen?
Well,
because there's really nobody else to be able to put in there, right? Like, you can't put Illinois ahead of LSU right now because Illinois got blown out by Indiana. At least LSU didn't get blown out. They didn't have a great offense, but
yeah, I think because there's not a ton of out of conference data points. I think that makes it hard. And then also there's just every decent team has significant holes. Like, I mean, Michigan's at 15. I think you can make an argument that they should be ahead of like Missouri and Georgia Tech, except A, they lost, and B, they have no receivers. So like, I know Donovan McCulley.
Well, but is this resume based or is this?
I think
a
it's
resume
both.
based?
Well,
ranking?
I'm just saying both.
Okay.
Like, I think on both ends. Like, they have holes, but they also they have a loss. So
yeah, I mean, and that's why you have to look at Illinois and say, even though they got blown out by Indiana, I still think this is a better Illinois team than LSU. So I have Illinois ranked above LSU. Actually, I have Michigan ranked above them as well because it is resume, but it's also, what do you know about these teams? Who looks better? Yeah, Michigan doesn't have receivers, but Georgia doesn't have a pass rush.
Yeah.
Right? Like, LSU doesn't have a running game.
Yeah. I think the hardest teams to figure out, if I'm just completely honest, is the one-loss SEC teams. Because I'm like, Alabama, like, how good is Vanderbilt? How good is Alabama? Like, I think Alabama's real.
Well, how good is Tennessee?
Right. Tennessee, I have Tennessee.
I have them 20th.
I'm close to
You
that
have them
too.
18th.
Yeah. But like, LSU, I have 11th in mind, but I'm like, I don't feel great about that. I don't feel great about Tennessee at 18. Georgia, I have at 10th, and I'm like, but I don't know if I really. There's just a lot of unknowns with the SEC right now, And a lot of it is that the quarterback play outside of maybe Ty Simpson and John Mateer is like just kind of mediocre.
Mm-hmm.
Like the best quarterback play is in the Big Ten right now.
Oh, yeah, for sure. For sure. I don't think there's any question that the best quarterback play right now is in the Big Ten. Official Husky Highlight says Michigan should not be above LSU. I'm sorry, bad take. I mean, again, I'd challenge you to make your own top 25 and go through it and try to be consistent across the board. I'm not trying to say it's a great take or anything. It's just super challenging to do. I guess my defense is, who has LSU beat?
Yep.
Michigan beat Nebraska, who should be a ranked team. Who'd LSU beat? They got a whole bunch of credit for beating Clemson. If we want to say Ohio State or Oregon doesn't get credit for beating Penn State, then LSU can't get credit for beating Clemson, right? And I'm not saying you're saying this is official Husky highlights. I'm just saying like this in general. This is kind of like my talking point of it all. Like, you beat Florida, okay. Florida beat Texas, but Texas doesn't have a single Power 4 win. So, like, Florida can't get a whole bunch of credit for being Texas, but you don't give it to Ohio State, right? And LSU, sure, they played Ole Miss close, but that was also like a game where Ole Miss scored way less points than they should have. They had multiple opportunities to score more points in that game.
Yep.
And Ole Miss's offense, or their defense, is terrible, and they need to score 20 points on them.
Mm-hmm.
Arkansas put up like 50 plus. So, I don't know. Like, to me, that whole 10 through like 20 is just a big mush.
Yeah.
Trying to put it all together.
It's not good.
Yeah. I mean, like I said, like Illinois, it's up there as well. Like,
yeah,
it's incredibly difficult. So, officially, I think they should both be below 15. I mean, I don't disagree with you, but who do you put above it, right?
I think
that's the hardest part.
I think teams 10 through 25 should all be below 15. That's the problem, right?
Anybody outside the top 10 should not be in the top 15.
Yeah. Which I think, to give merit to, some folks who were against playoff expansion, like this was what they were concerned about, and they're not wrong, but I think that's the problem with the polls is that you're trying to rank 25 teams, and like I think once you get to 6 or 7, it's kind of like, let's throw some darts against the wall and figure this out.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's how you get voters having more, like twice as many votes for Cincinnati over Nebraska, despite the fact that Nebraska beat Cincinnati, because you're like trying to figure this out. And so like, I have a lot of sympathy for most AP voters. Some are just out there.
My biggest thing is just stay consistent with whatever you're doing. Stay consistent.
Yeah.
If you can stay consistent, I'll be okay with it. But like, who has LSU beat? Nobody. Who's Tennessee beat? Nobody. No. Syracuse. Great. Yeah. Syracuse beat Clemson. They barely beat, who'd they lose to? They barely beat UConn, and they lost to somebody else. I can't remember who it was. Georgia Tech. Who'd they beat?
Nobody.
Clemson.
Yeah, Clemson.
They got put up there. Missouri. I don't get the Missouri hype at all. Missouri's wins: Central Arkansas, Kansas, Louisiana, South Carolina, UMass.
Yeah.
All at home. Iowa beats UMass, and people are like, UMass sucks.
Yeah.
Like South Carolina stinks right now.
They're not good.
Yeah.
They're not good.
Yeah.
Missouri,
and that's exactly what it is. Nobody's beat anybody. That's because you try to look at these resumes. It's just insane.
Yeah.
Nobody's beat anybody except Miami. Miami's beat everybody.
Yeah. They've beat everybody in the state of Florida, at least. So they also haven't left the state of Florida, but
not UCF, Zach. Got to get UCF on the schedule.
Yeah.
No, it's just all insane. I love to come on here and kind of rail the AP voters, but it's like I do feel bad for them, like you're saying, because it's incredibly difficult. The last thing I will say, and then you can get to whatever your last thing is, Cincinnati received more than double as many votes to be in the AP top 25. They were the first team out. They more than doubled the amount of votes in Nebraska. I could live with like a few more, they're kind of similar. There's just a few people that had them in. More than double Nebraska had 60 votes, I believe. Cincinnati had 129, I believe it was, or whatever points, not votes, points.
Mm-hmm.
Double as many points. That's insane.
That's
Iowa State is not all that good. Iowa State doesn't deserve to be ranked.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, you could tell. Like Iowa State got a preseason bump, right? Because they beat Kansas State, and then they beat who else did they beat that was ranked? Oh, they beat Iowa.
They beat Iowa,
which, you all know my feelings about Iowa.
Which they'll give a bump to Iowa State for beating Iowa, but they won't give a bump to Indiana. Yes, I recognize Indiana's in the top 10, so it's a little bit different, but still.
Yeah. But I just say this. Iowa State, you could tell, was going to lose at some point. Everybody kind of saw that upset. It wasn't even upset. I think Cincinnati was favored.
Against Iowa State, they were.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's like, okay, like they're favored. So they won. They were supposed to. Okay. Guess who beat Cincinnati and who was favored in a neutral site? Nebraska. What are we doing?
Yeah. Max says, did you watch the Nebraska-Cincinnati game? Arrowhead was a home game for Nebraska. I mean, a lot of their fans were there, but just because your fans show out, I don't think that should be a poor reflection on you, right? Like, oh, wow, let's just regulate it to a home game for them. I don't disagree. Obviously, the fan base was much more in favor of Nebraska on that one, but it was still a neutral site game. We don't ever do that to SEC teams, right? Mm-hmm. SEC teams, Georgia plays a neutral site game and at the Georgia Superdome, and it still gets called a neutral site game, So yeah, it's just crazy. So, which yes, Cameron, I agree. Down with neutral site games, unless it's the playoffs, but still. So, yeah. Philip says the bad SEC segments required. That was pretty much Missouri, Tennessee, LSU.
They're not good.
It's pretty much my bad segment. So
there you go.
My bad SEC segment. All right, let's get to our top 25, Zach. My top 25, I'll go through it really quick. It's yours. Sorry. My top 25, Ohio State, Oregon, Miami. I have it as the top 3, followed by Indiana, Ole Miss. Indiana looks like a more complete team than Ole Miss. They have a better resume than Ole Miss, in my opinion. Texas A&M, Oklahoma, Alabama, 8th. Need to see Alabama beat one of those teams in front of them before I move them up, most likely. Texas Tech, Illinois, Michigan, Georgia, LSU, Georgia Tech, USC. I have it number 15. I just don't think they should get all that far down for losing to an Illinois team. Mm-hmm. The context of that Indiana game is really important. Give credit to Indiana, but you got to know the context of the game. Nebraska I have as number 16. Their only loss is to Michigan, who is a playoff contender right now. Mm-hmm. What are we doing? Cincinnati? Really? Because they beat Iowa State, an overrated Big 12 team? It's crazy. Notre Dame, number 17, followed by Cincinnati, Washington unranked because they lost to Ohio State? Really? Florida State just lost to Miami. Mm-hmm. They didn't get unranked. I know they beat Bama, but they lost to Virginia. They got 2 losses. Anyway, Tennessee, number 20. They haven't beat anybody, but they played Georgia close. Congrats. Memphis, Missouri. You haven't played anybody, but you're undefeated. Congrats. Vanderbilt, BYU. Same thing as Missouri. You haven't played anybody, but you're undefeated. Congrats. And then Virginia, number 25. Zach, your top 25.
Yeah. Miami, Ohio State. Miami 1. That's probably my biggest change. Ohio State 2, Oregon 3, Indiana 4, Texas A&M 5, Ole Miss 6, Oklahoma 7, Texas Tech 8, Alabama 9, Georgia 10, LSU 11, Michigan 12, Missouri 13. Really undefeated. That's the only reason why I have them there. Illinois 14, SC 15, Georgia Tech 16. Vanderbilt 17, Tennessee 18, Washington 19, BYU 20, Notre Dame 21, Nebraska 22, Cincinnati 23, Maryland 24, Arizona State 25.
Yeah. I like that you still got Maryland in there.
Yeah. I liked what I saw.
Yeah.
I think they're legit.
Yeah. Let us know who's top 25 you guys like better overall, me or Zach. Put it in the chat. Would love to hear what you guys have to say. So, James, not fond of you moving Oregon down. We get it, James.
Yeah. If they beat Indiana,
they beat Indiana. They're right back above them, right? There you go. Brett's standing with you. Brett's team, Zach. There you go.
Thanks, Brett. Appreciate it.
All right.
We appreciate all you guys.
Oh, yeah, we appreciate all you guys. You guys rock. All right. College football playoff prediction. This is mine. I have Old Dominion at number 12. Then at number 11, I have Michigan. I think the schedule lends them to be able to get there. Even if they lose to USC, Michigan beat Ohio State. Like, they could beat Ohio State and still make it into the playoffs. You're going to tell me Michigan's ranked, in the 19, 18 range, and they beat Ohio State, they don't get into the playoffs? Heck yeah, they do. If that happens, they get in there. Number 10, I have Oklahoma. I think they might lose some games without John Mateer. Number 9, I have Notre Dame. I think they went out the rest of the season. Number 8, I have Georgia. And who would not love to see a Notre Dame-Georgia rematch to face Ohio State?
Ooh,
because, Zach, we just have to see Notre Dame play Ohio State again. It's just destiny at this point.
No more. I actually want Ohio State, Georgia at some point.
That would be fun, too.
Yeah.
Number 7, Texas Tech. I admittedly have them a little low. I just don't know how much credit they're going to get for the Big 12, but after seeing Cincinnati get credit for beating Iowa State, maybe they'll get more credit than I think. Who knows? Ole Miss, I have at number 6. Alabama, I think might beat them in like the SEC championship game or something and get higher. Indiana, I have at number 5. Alabama at 4, Miami at 3, Oregon at 2. I think Oregon, Ohio State will be team number 1 and 2. They'll play in the Big Ten championship game. And then Ohio State I have at number 1. Zach, your playoff prediction.
Yes. So just note, I have Ohio State number 1 in my playoffs prediction.
Well done.
Because even though I think Miami is going to go undefeated, I don't think their resume or their team is going to be seen as good as Ohio State's. So Ohio State 1, Miami 2, Oregon 3. I just think they're probably going to drop. I know typically they won't drop, but I think just for seeding, I think they're going to put the ACC champ over the Big Ten runner-up. So that's the only thing I have there. Alabama 4. I have Texas Tech 5. I think they're going to win out. I think they're head and shoulders above everybody else in the Big 12. And so I just think they're going to be undefeated. And it's like, how are we going to put anyone else above them? Especially if like Ole Miss has 2 losses. So I've got Ole Miss 6, Indiana 7, Georgia Tech 8. Because again, I just don't know who's going to beat them. Like maybe Georgia at the end of the season, but I'm just not sure. Texas A&M 9, Georgia 10, Michigan 11, and USF 12.
Yeah, you still got Georgia Tech in there. They got a pretty easy schedule the rest of the way. They might, if they make the championship game, the ACC championship game against Miami, they might get in there. This is such a hard thing because you have to balance who you think is good versus schedule, and you have to kind of like predict the rest of the schedules a little bit. These college football playoff predictions are harder than you think after you do them. So, Interesting stuff there, Zach. Look, you even turned over Steely Matt. He said he was he was Team JR, and now he's Team Zach. Now look at that. All right, Zach. That's about all we got. You got anything else you want to get to before we get out of here?
I would just like to say, I'm glad that we clarified that I'm not insane. Well, maybe we disagree, but I'm not like one of those guys who thinks that Miami is head and shoulders above everybody else.
I think that's probably what I think is the most insane. Yeah, if somebody is like, oh, Miami is clearly better than Ohio State. Okay, sure. I do think it's funny, though, because the SEC is the group that wants to say, like, oh, we beat Tennessee when they were a top 5 team. It's a top 5 win, even though they're not ranked after that. Right. But the minute, Penn State, number whatever in the nation, Oregon beats them and they're unranked, it's like, but Penn State's no good. Yeah. Oh, but Texas is no good.
Yeah. And see, I'm
not saying you were doing that. I'm saying that's kind of what others do. Yeah.
Well, but I think that's what when I was saying, like, if we're gonna be poking holes at the SEC, we've got to poke holes at our own resumes too. And so it's like, I know Texas was number 1 preseason, but like that Texas team is not a top 25 team right now. And so like you got to give credit. Now, I will say this, and this is part of my playoff ranking too. I think Ohio State's ceiling is so much higher, and Oregon's too, than Miami's, and honestly than anybody else's, maybe outside of Alabama.
Well, yeah, for coaching, if nothing else.
Yeah. Well, and they're opening the offense more for Julian Sayin. Like you're still youth at offensive coordinator, youth at quarterback. So like the more for the people who are saying that Miami is clearly the best team, just wait 6 weeks. Because I think you're going to see Oregon and Ohio State ascend. Whereas, like, I'm not sure you can see as much ascension with Miami because, like, Carson Beck, we know what he is. Like, so yeah, he's learning the system, but like, I don't think he's going to be like, I don't think he can grow to the same rate that Dante Moore and Julian Sayin can. So
no, and he doesn't have the playmaking ability of Dante Moore, and he doesn't have the pinpoint accuracy that Julian Sayin has. Really good question here from Illini Bubba. He says, why give so much credit to Oregon for the overtime win over Penn State and play up that more than the IU beating Illinois? Honestly, and maybe this is bad on me, I just honestly left Indiana and Oregon pretty much the same because I'm like, they're gonna decide it this week, right? It's like, why bother arguing about it when it's like it's going to be decided this week?
Yeah,
that was at least my thought process. I don't know if you thought the same thing, Zach.
Yeah, I think it's hard, and this is the difficulty with Indiana. And this is not a question of like, is Indiana for real? They are very much for real.
Oh yeah.
I think the question is what they did to Illinois was more about their system than it is about how elite they are. And so if because they're so efficient, anyone that they're better, like they're significantly better than, they're going to just drag them. The question is, how do they do when you match up with offensive and defensive lines that can kind of neutralize you a little bit? And I think Oregon, their offensive and defensive lines are going to give Indiana some troubles. So I still think Indiana has a much better shot against Oregon than they would have a year ago, but that's where I would be really concerned about that matchup. And that's why I have Oregon slightly ahead of Indiana right now.
Yeah. Conrad says, JR with Penn State out, will the Big Ten get a fourth team in the CFP, and who? Probably either Michigan or USC, maybe Washington could make it happen, but they'd have to beat Oregon at the end of the season, I think, just based off the way they're getting credit right now from the AP. It seems like I don't think it should be that way. I have them ranked in mine.
Yeah.
But just kind of reading off what has happened so far, I think your most likely is probably Michigan and USC, one of those two.
Yeah. If Illinois can upset Ohio State, though.
Yeah, and I think that's the hardest part is like Illinois has Ohio State coming up, and then they have at Washington, right? Like
that's
going to be really tough
2-game stretch.
Yeah. So I'm not saying Illinois won't happen, but I do think Illinois is probably a little bit less likely. So, and look, Brett's smack talking us. We can end it on here with Brett's smack talk. Love it, Brett. He says, "Don't worry. After losing to Michigan for the 5th year in a row, is it the 5th year?
Yeah, it'd be 5.
Oh yeah, I'm getting mixed up. All that Fire Day chance will come again. Hey, last time they had Fire Day chance, he won a national championship. So
yeah,
go ahead.
I don't know if Fire Day chants are coming if they go 11-1 with a loss to Michigan, but
it'll buy yourself at least a year, right?
Yeah.
You win a national championship, buy yourself at least a year. So we'll see. I can't wait for Ohio State Michigan again this year. It's it's gonna be such a good game.
I'm terrified.
I'm at the point now where I just look forward to it. I just appreciate it for the game and how great it is and the rivalry and everything else. I mean, obviously, I still want Ohio State to win. Don't get me wrong, but
you're a better man than I am.
Inside, I'm slowly dying.
Wow. Okay, that's a good time to. It's time to end the show. Time to end the show.
All right, everybody. Hey, we appreciate you being here. Thank you so much for watching and listening to the Big Ten Huddle. Join us Tuesday night live, where you can catch me and Mike Wednesday morning in your podcast feed. You're going to go through all these games, ton of great games to go through: Michigan, USC, IU, Oregon, Ohio State, Illinois, and I have a lot of fun doing it. So really look forward to that, and can't wait for you all to be there with us. So. This is Max gets it. He says we're all slowly dying. Nothing in the world can keep us alive forever.
Preach.
So figure out what you're gonna do when it's all said and done. Tony says great show. Appreciate it. Appreciate all of you guys being here. Zach, any final thoughts before we get out of here?
It's time to go to bed.
Zach, get to bed. We appreciate you. We appreciate all the listeners. Have a good one, everybody. See you next time.
See ya.